Lois, you're amazing.
Hello, my trigger-happy friends. My name is Stevie Cade, and thank you for joining me as I continue my review of all the live-action Superman movies. I am doing this review series with my Batman review series leading up to Batman v Superman. But before we get started, if you could, hit that subscribe button and the little bell ding thing so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So grab your keyboards, head down to the comment section, and let's review Superman 2. In this film, Superman is faced with the Kryptonian villain Zod and his henchmen, Ursa and Non, as they threaten planet Earth with destruction at the same time that Superman renounces his powers so he can spend a normal life with his love, Lois Lane. Why would anybody want to spend the rest of their life with Lois Lane? Before I actually dive into the review itself, I want to let you know that I am reviewing the theatrical version of this movie. I know there is a Donner cut, and at the time of this review, I actually have not seen the Donner cut. But with that being said, I am going to watch the Donner cut and actually do a Donner cut discussion with my buddy Chris Durbin on his channel, Durbania, which you can watch right after this by clicking right here or the link in the description below. But with that said, let's dive into what I like about this movie. Christopher Reeve, again, amazing job portraying Superman and the different variations of Clark Kent and Kal-El. He still owns this role and executes it masterfully. It seems to come easy to him. Like, in a way, this is him. That's the way he's selling this character. Like, you believe that this is Christopher Reeve in real life. In my last review, I said he carried that movie on his shoulders, and I feel the same for this film as well. Now, the plot of this movie is something that I really liked. Having Superman not only face his internal battle, choosing between two worlds, but also a physical battle fighting the only remaining Kryptonians that his own father Jor-El cast into the Phantom Zone. This is a very poetic concept. And also, I like the situation that Clark Kent is put in this movie where he has to save Lois because she's an idiot and decided to jump into water while not showing her that he's Superman. And balancing that dual life of Superman and Clark Kent is what makes watching these movies fun. The TV series, The Adventure of Lois and Clark, really played into this aspect, and I think it's a great Superman element to have. Now, the double cross at the end of this film, I thought was expertly used because they fooled me. I totally got fooled on this one. You know, when Superman reverses the rays in that Kryptonian tanning booth.
Try to get them all into this molecule chamber. It takes away their powers.
Don't go in there, General. It's a trap. Luther, you poisonous snake!
I didn't see that double cross coming. Yeah, they got me. So good job. Now for what I'm on the fence about when it comes to this movie. Lois suddenly noticing that Clark Kent and Superman look the same is weird. Because she notices it so easily, it takes you out of the fact that in this world, people aren't supposed to notice that. And now she's completely convinced by it so much that she's willing to jump into water to prove it. Because that's what reporters do. On very little evidence, she risks her entire life. You're a reporter, an investigator. Investigate the situation. But then when she notices that he is Superman, when he's unharmed after he puts his hand in the fire, that's a more convincing way to prove that to me. Seeing evidence that he doesn't get hurt in these types of situations, then noticing the look-alike. I'm not sure why they had both those elements in this movie. They would have done just fine just to have the fire scene, and that's it. Zod and his team, I'm very on the fence about. I like them as the antagonist of this movie. They're a physical match for Superman. They come across as an intimidating group, just wreaking havoc. But I can't figure out their integrity, like why they want to rule this planet. They don't even know that Superman's on this planet for most of the movie. They just want to rule the planet Houston because they're bad guys, and that's what bad guys do. And that's it. That's their thing. Jor-El isn't in this movie. They use his mother instead, and I'm not sure why. Like I know there's like some sort of backstory about using footage for Brando because he thought he was only shooting one movie instead of two, and I don't know. This is where the whole Donner cut thing comes in. I don't really know much about that situation. With that out of my mind, I was very aware that Jor-El was not in this film. I could tell they shot around that situation, but it didn't really take me out of the story, which is why I'm on the fence about it. I noticed it, but it's okay. Lex Luthor traveling to the Fortress of Solitude by going north. That's a ridiculous plan. Well, Superman, he disappears by going north. Okay, the north will go. And they fucking find the goddamn thing. Like, seriously? This is only written into the story so that later he could tell Zod where the Fortress of Solitude is. I would rather Zod just accidentally stumble upon it himself. That would have made more sense. honestly, we don't need Lex Luthor in this movie besides that one little plot point. But I guess he was probably obligated to be in the movie through his contracts or whatever, because Lex Luthor does not do shit in this movie at all. And am I supposed to believe that Zod and his crew are just kind of flipping through space and randomly travel past Earth at the right time for this bomb to explode and let them out of the Phantom Zone? And that's why they decided to go to Earth and rule for some stupid ass reason. The universe is a giant place, and the fact that they would be there is such a huge coincidence, but it gets the movie going and it works. It's lazy, but it works. And also the pacing of this film works, but it's off. The tones are everywhere. There's 1 minute, it's like it's a bright Superman movie. The second minute, we dive into this darker, brooding Superman. Like, there's an element missing here for about 15 minutes when Clark loses his superpowers. Like, it just seems like a very dark moment of the movie, and it just doesn't fit with the rest of it. Matter of fact, I think I'm just going to shift over into what I don't like about this movie with this concept. The whole Clark Kent, Superman losing his powers thing is ridiculous, because I'm not exactly sure why it happens. He has to lose his powers to be with Lois because of Kryptonian reasons or something.
If you intend to live your life with a mortal, you must live as a mortal. You must become one of them.
Can't he just say, no, I'm just gonna have a relationship with Lois and be Superman? You know, because who's gonna stop him? Besides the villains in this movie, there's no other Kryptonians alive. And how is that even a rule? How is that even a rule in the Kryptonian world? Is that like somewhere in the scripture? Well, you know, if you happen to be on another planet with a yellow sun and that enhances your abilities, and you fall in love with someone who doesn't have abilities, then you need to strip him away because of reasons. Like, I don't understand why he had to strip away his superpowers. And then he gets them back when it was very clear that he couldn't get them back. How did he get his superpowers back? If I missed something here, let me know in the comments below, because to me, they didn't really explain how he got his powers back. He just has them back for some fucking reason. And the fact that he wanted his powers back immediately is also very awkward. He wants his powers back because some guy beat him up in front of his girlfriend. He decides to have his powers taken away because he's in love, and him and Lois turn, you know, the Fortress of Solitude into the Fortress of Sexitude. And then when he realizes he doesn't have powers, he's like, oh, it hurts not having powers. I'm gonna go get this back. Cue the Fresh Prince theme music. I got in one little fight and I got scared. I should have listened to my alien father, Jarrell. Yeah, I just did that. You're welcome. Him losing his powers is not a story arc. It just came across as filler, like something to happen to keep this movie going. Like, it tried to be dark. I bet there's something in the Donner Cut that explains more into what happened there. I don't know what the Donner Cut actually has in it, so I could be completely off base here. Maybe that could be just a hot mess of the movie that this one is. Lois Lane, you still suck in this movie. You constantly put yourself in the damsel of distress situation for stupid reasons. Like, reasons that a woman who's supposed to be as smart as you shouldn't be in. You shouldn't be doing these things. When she's in Paris and she sneaks up the Eiffel Tower, what is her plan in this moment? What is her goal when she reaches these terrorists? What is she going to do? Interview them? Cool. She literally watches Superman lose his powers for her without any contest. Like, do something, Lois. Stop Superman from losing his powers. The world needs Superman to have powers. You're gonna let this man strip away his powers and potentially let millions of people die because he can no longer save them? Because you had fun sexy time for 10 minutes? She's got Superman's head all mixed up. And also, Lex Luthor has absolutely no business being in this movie, like I mentioned before. He is only there to move the story forward in certain parts, and he's painfully just an extra person in all these scenes. And I feel like he could have been taken out of this movie entirely, but he doesn't add anything to the story at all. He has no purpose in being there besides just having Lex Luthor in this movie. Now, the end of this movie, after killing Zod, which nobody seemed to care about Superman killing Zod in this movie, Superman and Lois return back to Metropolis to spend the rest of their lives together. Or not, because he erases her fucking mind. Why does he erase her mind? He does that? He can do that? So you're telling me in the first movie, he reversed this flow of time or whatever, made everybody forget what happened. In this movie, he erases Lois's mind, makes her forget what's happening. Who's the bad guy here? Like, this man is manipulating people's minds. Is there not a smarter way to end this movie than just him erasing her mind? That's like a dream sequence. Him erasing her mind wasted all of our time in this movie. And then we see Superman do the least Superman-y thing ever, where he goes back to the diner where he got beat up in front of his girlfriend and starts an unfair fight with this civilian. Like, He's Superman, disguised as Clark Kent, and he beats this guy's ass. That is not cool.
Take it easy, will you?
And that's the least Superman thing you could do. Overall, I found this movie to be more frustrating than it was entertaining, but they're outweighed by the choppiness of the storytelling and the out-of-character situations that we find Superman in. I don't enjoy these versions of Lex Luthor or Lois Lane, and the whole movie comes across as a confusing mess. And for those reasons, I'm giving this movie a D.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
There's my review for the theatrical version of Superman 2. Don't forget, I'm going to watch the Donner Cut, and I'm going to have a full-fledged Donner Cut discussion with my buddy Chris Durbin over on his channel, Durbania, which you can check out by clicking in the description below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos right here, and as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.